I never thought I'd be the guy in this situation. You know, the one who trusts his wife blindly, works his ass off to give her the best life, only to find out she's been lying straight to his face. But here I am. It started with a house. The house. I worked overtime, skipped vacations, and poured everything I had into buying it. A big, beautiful place in a quiet neighborhood, our dream home. Or at least, I thought it was ours. Turns out, my wife, Emily, had a completely different plan. We were barely moved in when she hit me with it. We were sitting in the brand new living room, still surrounded by unpacked boxes. She crossed her arms, leaned against the couch, and said, "My parents will be living here too. If you don't like it, you can leave." I laughed. Thought she was joking. But when I saw the look on her face, my stomach dropped. She was dead serious. "You can't be serious," I said, forcing a chuckle, hoping to shake off the insane feeling creeping up my spine. "Dead serious," she shot back. "They're moving in next week. They need a place, and this house is big enough." "What's the problem?" "The problem? The problem was I just spent 6 years saving for this place. I bought it. I busted my ass to afford it. And now, suddenly, it was a free-for-all?" "You never mentioned this," I said through gritted teeth. She shrugged. "Didn't think I had to." Didn't think she had to. That's when I realized something was seriously off. She wasn't asking me. She was telling me. Like she'd already made up her mind long before I even signed the papers. And if I didn't go along with it? Too bad for me. Something snapped inside me right then. Maybe it was the months of hard work, the exhaustion, or just the sheer audacity of what she was pulling. But I decided, if she thought she could bulldoze over me like this, she had another thing coming. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I simply nodded and said, "All right." Emily smirked like she'd won. Like I was some obedient little husband who'd roll over and take whatever she threw at me. She had no idea. The next morning, I made a few calls. By the end of the week, the house was gone. I sold it. Not listed it. Not put it up for discussion. I straight up sold it to a buyer who paid in cash. Poof, gone. Emily came home to an empty driveway and a for sale sign on the front lawn. She lost it. Screaming. Cursing. Throwing things. But I didn't care. Because that's when the real betrayal came out. She wasn't just mad about the house. She was panicked. Why? Because it wasn't just her parents moving in. It was someone else, too. And I was about to find out exactly who. She stormed into the house, well, what was left of it, her face twisted in pure rage. "What the hell did you do?" she shrieked, her voice bouncing off the empty walls. I stood there, calm as ever. "Sold the house," I said simply. Her hands clenched into fists. "You had no right." I let out a dry laugh. "No right? I bought it. It was mine." She shook her head, breathing heavily, her eyes darting around like she was trying to figure a way out of this. You just threw away our future." "Our future?" Now she wanted to talk about our future? That's when I saw it. The panic. It wasn't just anger. It was fear. "You weren't planning on your parents moving in, were you?" I asked, watching her closely. She froze for half a second. That half second told me everything. "Of course, I was," she snapped, but her voice was higher now, forced. "You're insane. Who does something like this without talking to their wife?" I stepped closer. She flinched. "Let me ask you something," I said, my voice low. "Did your parents even know about this plan?" She blinked rapidly, her jaw tightening. Then, her phone rang. She ignored it. But it kept ringing. Again. And again. I glanced down. Logan. Now, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with my wife having male friends. But this name? I'd seen it before. Texts at odd hours. A call she ignored when we were having dinner. Some excuse about work, but she never really explained what kind of work it was. Answer it, I said. She crossed her arms. No. That's when I knew. I reached for the phone. She snatched it away. Are you out of your damn mind? I didn't care anymore. I grabbed her purse and dumped it out. Lipstick, gum wrappers, some receipts, and a second phone. I picked it up. Unlocked. Emily lunged for it, but I held it out of reach. What's this, sweetheart? Give it back, she shrieked. I scrolled. My stomach twisted. Hundreds of messages. Not just texts. Photos. Videos. Plans. Emily, can't wait to see you tonight. He's such an idiot. Logan, I'll be waiting. Same hotel? Emily, of course. I'll tell him I'm visiting my parents. My hand started shaking. Not from sadness. From rage. I turned the phone around so she could see the messages. You want to explain this? Her face drained of color. For the first time, she looked scared. But then, just like that, she switched. She rolled her eyes. Oh, grow up. You think you're so perfect? So what, I had some fun. If you weren't such a boring, predictable loser, maybe I wouldn't have needed to. The words hit harder than I expected. Not because I believed them, but because she believed them. I took a deep breath. How long? She smirked. Does it matter? How long? 2 years. 2 years. I laughed. A hollow, humorless laugh. Wow. She tilted her head. You're not gonna hit me, are you? She mocked. Because I'd love to call the cops and tell them how crazy you've been acting lately. That was it. I was done. I dropped her phone on the floor and stepped over it like it was trash. You know what? You can keep Logan. Hell, you can even move in with him. But this? I gestured around. This house? It's gone. Just like us. I turned for the door, but she grabbed my arm. Wait. I yanked free. Don't touch me. She scoffed. Where are you gonna go, huh? You think you're gonna start over just like that? I looked her dead in the eye. Watch me. And then, I walked out. For good. I didn't look back. Not when she screamed my name, not when she hurled her phone at the door behind me, not when she cursed me out loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I walked to my car, got in, and drove off. The house, the life I thought I was building, the woman I thought I knew, it was all a joke. And I had been the punchline for 2 years. My hands were gripping the wheel too tight, my mind racing. 2 years. That meant while I was breaking my back to afford that house, she was sneaking around with Logan. While I was planning a future for us, she was planning her next hotel visit. I drove without a destination. I didn't even know where I was going, just that I couldn't stay there. My phone buzzed in the passenger seat. One guess who it was. Emily. I ignored it. Then came another. And another. Then, a text popped up from a number I didn't recognize. Hey man, I think you and I need to talk. Logan. I slammed the brakes so hard the car jerked forward. This motherf. My fingers hovered over the screen. What the hell could he possibly want? I exhaled slowly, then typed back. What do you want? The dots appeared immediately. He had been waiting for me to respond. Just want you to know the truth. The truth? Like the truth I had just discovered by scrolling through months of filthy messages? What else was there? Go to hell, I replied. More dots. Then, a photo. I opened it. My blood ran cold. Emily. Sitting on the edge of a hotel bed, wearing nothing but a smirk. But it wasn't the photo itself that made my stomach turn. It was the date in the corner. 3 days ago. 3 freaking days. I had still been living with her 3 days ago. Still kissing her. Still waking up next to her. And she was doing this. Another text followed. She told me you were cool with it. That you had an open marriage. She said you knew. My vision blurred for a second. My fingers went numb. Open marriage? Is that what she told him? That I knew about this? She hadn't just cheated. She had rewritten the entire story. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and slammed my fists against the steering wheel. I needed air. I needed to get my head straight before I did something stupid. I pulled into the first parking lot I saw, a gas station, half empty, neon lights flickering above. I sat there, breathing heavily, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it. Then, another buzz. Emily, where the hell are you? We need to talk. I stared at the screen. Then, without thinking, I typed back. Meet me. 30 minutes. That cheap diner on 6th. I hit send. If she wanted to talk, we were going to talk. I got to the diner first. The place was half empty, the kind of rundown joint where the coffee was always burnt and the waitresses looked like they'd seen too much life. Perfect. I slid into a booth in the back, facing the door, and waited. 15 minutes later, Emily walked in like she owned the place. Her hair was perfect, her makeup flawless. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just gotten caught betraying the one person who gave a damn about her. She spotted me, rolled her eyes, and strutted over. I don't have all night, she said, dropping into the seat across from me. I leaned back. No, Logan. She crossed her arms. Cut the crap. What do you want? I laughed. You're the one who texted me. Thought you had something important to say. She scoffed. You're such a child. What did you expect? Some grand confession? A tearful apology? I didn't answer. I just stared at her, trying to figure out if I had ever really known this woman at all. The waitress came over, chewing gum like she couldn't care less. Coffee? I nodded. Emily shook her head. As soon as the waitress walked away, Emily leaned forward, lowering her voice. You selling the house was the dumbest thing you've ever done. Do you have any idea what kind of mess you just made for yourself? I smirked. Oh, I think I made a mess for you. Her jaw tightened. That house was supposed to be mine. I shook my head slowly, almost impressed. Unbelievable. Not a single word about what you did. Not even an ounce of guilt. She laughed. Actually laughed. What exactly do you think I did? Sleep with someone else? She tilted her head. News flash, honey, people do a lot worse in marriage. Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't have had to go looking for. I slammed my fist on the table. The cups rattled. The gum-chewing waitress glanced over but didn't move. Emily froze for just a second, then sat back, smirking again. Did I touch a nerve? I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. I want a divorce. She laughed again, louder this time. You think I care? Please, sign whatever papers you want. Just know this, you walk away, and I will make your life miserable. Don't think for a second you're getting off easy. I nodded. Good to know. And just so you know, I already called my lawyer. Her smirk faded. Excuse me? I pulled my phone from my pocket, tapped the screen, and slid it across the table. The email was open. See that? I said. Filed this morning. Also, forwarded all those texts and photos to your family. Thought they should know what kind of daughter they raised. Her eyes went wide for a split second before she caught herself. You didn't. I smiled. Go ahead. Call your mom. She hesitated, her fingers twitching like she wanted to grab the phone. But she didn't. Because she knew. I leaned in. And one more thing, you remember that prenup you signed? Her face drained of color. Yeah, I said, nodding. That one. The one that says if you cheat, you get nothing. No house. No money. Not even the damn couch. Her lips parted slightly, her breathing shallow. The first crack in the mask. I grabbed my phone and stood up. Enjoy Logan's hotel rooms. I hear they're lovely this time of year. I turned and walked away, feeling lighter than I had in years. Behind me, I heard the sound of a coffee cup smashing against the wall. I stepped out of the diner and into the night, inhaling deep, crisp air like I was breathing for the first time in years. My heart was still pounding, but for once, it wasn't from rage, it was from relief. Emily was done. Out of my life. No more lies, no more manipulation. My phone buzzed again. For a second, I thought it was her, but no, Logan. I ignored it. Got in my car. Started the engine. Then another text popped up. You really think you won? You have no idea what she's capable of. I stared at it for a second, then laughed. I didn't care what Emily thought she was capable of. She had no leverage. No house. No money. Nothing. But just as I pulled out of the parking lot, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I hit ignore. Then, almost immediately, another call. Same number. I sighed and answered. Who is this? Silence for a second. Then a deep voice. You need to watch your back. I frowned. Excuse me? Click. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. What the hell was that? My gut told me this wasn't over. Not yet. I drove in silence, gripping the wheel, my mind racing. The divorce was filed, the house was gone, Emily was out of my life, but now, suddenly, there were threats? From who? Logan? Someone else? I pulled into my apartment complex, the temporary one I'd rented while sorting everything out. As I stepped out of the car, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I let it ring. Then a text popped up. You think you're safe? Think again. I clenched my jaw. This wasn't just Logan being an idiot. This was something else. I climbed the stairs to my unit, checking my surroundings, every shadow suddenly feeling too dark. Inside, I locked the door, dropped my keys on the counter, and opened my messages. I scrolled back to Logan's last text. You really think you won? You have no idea what she's capable of. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I typed back. What does that mean? The dots appeared immediately. She's not done with you. And she's not alone. A chill ran down my spine. Not alone. I started typing, but before I could hit send, a loud bang echoed from outside. My door shook. Someone had just hit it. Hard. I froze. Then, another bang. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, an old metal lamp, and crept toward the door. Silence. I peered through the peephole. Nothing. Then, a whisper. Right outside. You should have just let her have the house. My blood turned to ice. Who the hell was outside my door? I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stared through the peephole, my grip tightening around the lamp. Then, footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Moving away. I waited until the silence stretched long enough to make me doubt what I'd just heard. Then, carefully, I unlocked the door and cracked it open. The hallway was empty. But sitting on the floor, right in front of my door, was a single envelope. No name, no markings. Just a plain white envelope, perfectly placed. I bent down, grabbed it, and shut the door behind me, locking it twice. My hands were clammy, but I forced myself to tear it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper. One line. You took something from her. Now she takes something from you. I stared at it, my pulse hammering in my ears. This wasn't Logan. This wasn't just some bitter ex-lover texting out of jealousy. This was something else entirely. I grabbed my phone and dialed Logan. He picked up on the first ring. Took you long enough. What the hell is going on? I snapped. Who's threatening me? Silence. Then he sighed. I told you. You don't know what she's capable of. What does that mean? Another pause. Then, finally. She's not just some cheating wife, man. She's connected. And now that you screwed her over, she's making sure you regret it. My stomach twisted. Who is she connected to? The line went dead. Then, from somewhere outside my apartment, I heard another sound. A car engine. Sitting idle. Waiting. I walked to the window, careful not to move the blinds too much. A black SUV sat at the curb, engine running, headlights off. Tinted windows. Unmoving. A coincidence? Not a chance. I backed away from the window, heart pounding. This wasn't just Emily being bitter, this was something bigger. And Logan knew more than he was telling me. I dialed him again. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. I cursed under my breath, pacing the apartment. My mind was running through every possibility. Who the hell had I married? My phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. Step outside. Let's talk. I gritted my teeth. Yeah, not happening. I typed back. Who are you? The reply came instantly. Someone who can make your life very difficult. My fingers hovered over the screen. Then, before I could respond, another message. Or very short. A sharp chill crawled up my spine. I grabbed my keys, my wallet, and the only weapon I had, a pocketknife I kept in my nightstand. Then I moved to the back door. If they wanted me outside, I sure as hell wasn't walking through the front. I slipped out into the alley behind the complex, keeping to the shadows. My car was parked on the other side of the lot. If I could get to it without being seen. A voice cut through the silence. Smart move. I spun around, knife ready. A man stood a few feet away, half hidden in the dark. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black jacket. I tightened my grip. Who the hell are you? He took a slow step closer. You need to drop this divorce. I laughed, but it came out colder than I intended. Not a chance. Another step. Then you need to disappear. I shook my head. Not happening. He sighed, like I was being difficult. Then you've got a problem. My jaw clenched. No, I said. Emily has a problem. He smirked. We'll see. Then, without another word, he turned and walked away. I didn't move until he was gone. Then I did the only thing I could. I got in my car and drove. I had no idea where I was going. But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't done yet. I drove through the city, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. My mind was a storm, replaying every single moment of the last few days. The house. The cheating. The threats. And now, some hired goon telling me to disappear? Emily wasn't just a lying, cheating manipulator, she was dangerous. My phone rang again. Logan. I answered immediately. Talk. You still alive? His voice was tense. Not for lack of trying, I muttered. You gonna tell me what's really going on, or do I have to find out the hard way? He exhaled sharply. Look, man, I don't owe you anything. You and me? We were never on the same side. But you're in deep now, and you don't even realize it. Then make me realize it. A pause. Then, Emily's family isn't just some middle-class suburban couple. Her dad? Let's just say he has friends. And those friends don't like losing. My grip tightened on the wheel. Friends like the guy who just cornered me? Probably. And if he's showing up, that means they've decided you're a problem. Which means you've got two choices, leave town or make yourself untouchable. Untouchable how? Another pause. Then Logan said the last thing I expected. Go public. I frowned. What? Expose her. Expose them. Once the world knows what she's done, they can't make you disappear without raising questions. I thought about it. Every cheating text, every lie, every threat. The house. The prenup. The fake open marriage story she told Logan. The dangerous people she had in her pocket. I had the truth. And the only way to survive might be to burn her world down before she burned mine. I made a sharp turn, heading downtown. Where are you going? Logan asked. To take your advice. He hesitated. Be careful, man. These people don't play fair. Neither do I. I hung up. By the time I pulled up outside a news station, my decision was made. Emily wanted to control the story. I was about to rewrite it. I sat in my car outside the news station, the weight of what I was about to do settling in. Emily had played her game well, lied, cheated, manipulated, but she made one mistake. She underestimated me. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the evidence. Screenshots of messages, the prenup, the threats. I had everything I needed to bury her. Then, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Last chance. Walk away. I smirked. They were getting desperate. I stepped out of the car and walked through the front doors of the station. A receptionist glanced up. I need to talk to a reporter. I've got a story they'll want to hear. She raised an eyebrow but gestured toward the waiting area. Have a seat. I sat down, my heart pounding, but not from fear. From adrenaline. From clarity. I wasn't the victim anymore. 10 minutes later, a young journalist walked out. I shook his hand, introduced myself, and got straight to the point. I was married to Emily Carter. And she's not who she pretends to be. I told him everything. The affair. The threats. Her family's connections. I showed him the texts, the videos, the photos. I gave him everything. By the time I finished, his eyes were wide. This is insane, he muttered. You have no idea, I said. He leaned back. If we run this, you're gonna have a target on your back. Are you ready for that? I smirked. I already do. So let's make it count. The article went live 2 days later. Ex-husband of prominent family's daughter exposes web of deception, infidelity, and threats. It spread fast. Too fast for Emily and her people to stop it. Her family tried to deny it. But the evidence was too damning. Every text, every call, every threat, it was all out there. Then, Logan did something I didn't expect. He came forward too. She lied to me. She said they had an open marriage. I had no idea what she was really up to. Emily's world collapsed overnight. Her father's friends? They didn't like public scandals. And when they realized she was the one who had screwed up, they did what people like them always do. They cut her loose. She lost everything. Her reputation, her money, even her so-called powerful connections. The last I heard, she was staying at a cheap motel, trying to figure out her next move. As for me, I walked away. No more looking over my shoulder. No more fear. I started over. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Emily thought she could control the game. She forgot who she was playing against.